When I first came to the church, I sat down with the finance team, the finance committee back then, and we talked about my compensation package and how that was going to kind of be split up and divided out and everything. So we decided back then that there would be we would set aside $100 a month to go towards an annuity towards my retirement. Well, about a year and a half in, I don't remember exactly what happened, but the expenses changed, and so we decided not to put that $100. Okay, Ross, you're distracted me. So we decided not to put that $100 in the annuity anymore. And so 20 years later, I look back and I think we put $100 a month in this annuity for about 12 months, maybe 18 months. I don't remember, but it wasn't more than 18 months. So it was only about $1,200 or $1,800 that was put into this annuity. And I was looking at it just this last week, and that annuity has grown to like $23,000, $24,000. And when you stop thinking about that, you think that's a lot of money. It's really not. I mean, it's really not a lot of money. If somebody were to walk up to you right now, write you a check for $23,000, $24,000, $25,000, you'd say, wow, that's a lot of money. But if you were having to live on it for the rest of your life, you would say, that's not much money at all. But still, when you stop and think about it, $100 invested over the period of 12 to 18 months yielded $23,000, $24,000 over the course of 20 years. And that's not bad, right? To have only put such a small amount of money into an account and then not add anything else to it, and it just continue to grow on its own with compounding interest. I couldn't tell you what the interest rate was or is or has been or anything. But that's a pretty significant increase from $1,200 to $23,000, $24,000, right? Without having to add any more of my own money into it. Now, I got to be honest with you, I'm 50 years old, and I don't know how much longer I will be able to do what I do. I feel like right now I can do what I do till I die. And I've told people that I feel such a clear sense of calling here at Northside that I'll die here. I don't ever plan on pastoring anywhere else, and I don't know how long I will live. Okay? I could live to be 90 or 100 years old. God might bless me like He did Charles and let me live to 100, or I don't know. But I can tell you that at the age of 50, I look back to when I was in my 20s, and I think, man, why didn't I keep putting $100 a month in that annuity? I have no idea how much money it would be worth today, but it would be worth a lot, right? I mean, if $1,200, $1,800 yielded $23,000, $24,000 over the course of 19, 20 years, can you imagine how much money would be in that account today if I had kept putting $100 a month? And really, $100 a month, that's a lot of money, really. If it's coming out of my pocket, it's a lot of money. Now, I don't know what it's like if it comes out of your pocket, but $100 a month really isn't that much money when you stop and think about it, huh? And I plan on very soon to start putting $100 a month in that annuity. Because I might have another lucre of money 20 years from now. I'd like to see what would happen if I put $100 in that annuity over the next 20 years and see what it became. Anybody have any reasonable guess? We have a couple of bankers in here. Brenda, you're a banker, aren't you? Huh? You're a collector. Oh. You just sit over there and be quiet. But no, I mean, if over the course of 20 years it was $24,000, would it be reasonable to think that I would be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars?
It would be.
Right?
Yep.
So if I started putting $100 a month over the next 20 years, it's reasonable that I would have in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And so I look back and I think, Mitchell, what were you thinking? And the reality is that when I look back, I had no idea. All I saw was $100 a month coming out of my paycheck, and here I was trying to pay a mortgage and buy groceries and put clothes on my wife and my kids and to keep a car on the road or 2 cars on the road. And at that time, picking $100 a month something that didn't seem to have any value at the time, now I look back and think, man, it had huge value. I just didn't realize it. And that's life. Isn't it the way it is in life? Not just with investments, not just putting money into an annuity and watching it grow over a period of time, but investing in people. Investing in people. We look back and think, man, I wish that I had invested differently in people. Now I'm going to tell you, I won't lie. I love my kids. And I think my kids are great. And I think my kids are better than your kids. And I think my grandkids are better than your grandkids. And you think yours are better than mine. And that's just the way it is. But I love my kids. And my kids have turned out great. People tell me that all the time. I don't say that because I think that. I do think that. But I say it because people tell me all the time, Mitchell, you've got great kids. All three of your kids are great kids. And they are great kids. Now, they're kind of demon seeds sometimes. But they really are great kids. And when I look back, I think, I made a lot of intentional investments in my kids over the years when they were growing up. And Angela made a lot of intentional investments in our kids when we were growing up. And our kids responded well to those investments. And one of the things that we were real careful about, we were very careful when our kids were growing up about the influences that we allowed in our kids' lives. And it caused them a lot of heartache and grief, especially one particular boyfriend that Lauren used to have. And we were very careful about the influences and the people that we allow in our kids' life. And so now they've grown up and I can see the payoff. I can see the benefit of the investments that we made in our kids. But I can look back, even at my age, I can look back into my kids' life and see how well they've turned out. And I look back and I think, I could have done better. I could have done better. I wish I had spent more time doing this with my kids. I wish I had invested more time here with my kids. I wish I had invested more time in myself so that I could invest better, and so I know how to invest better. And I still look back and think, I wish I had done better. And that's just the way it is in life, right? All of us look back over our lives. And some of your kids are terrible. I don't know your kids, but some of your kids are terrible. I don't know. Maybe they're not. But you don't think that your kids are terrible, but maybe they are terrible. I don't know. Because I think my kids are great. And if I think my kids are great, then your kids can't be great too, Because they can't all be great. But every one of us can adjust the rearview mirror and look behind us. No matter how well your kids turned out or didn't turn out, no matter where you are in your station of life right now, no matter how good things are, no matter how bad things are, you can look in the rearview mirror and think, I wish I had invested better. I invested well. And I can see that I invested well because I can see the results of those investments. And as I see how well my investments have turned out, why didn't I invest more? Right? Because that's what I think when I think about my $24,000 and that I only invested $100 a month for 12 to 18 months. I look back and I thought my investment was a good investment. It produced a good return and is still producing a good return. And I kick myself and I think, why didn't I invest better? Because I didn't know. Right? I didn't know. I didn't know how things were going to turn out. I didn't know things were going to turn out so good. And listen, if I had known things would turn out so bad, I'm talking about good things, but you can look back in your life, and if you had known that things were going to turn out as bad as they have, if you had known that your kids were going to be demon-proof, if you had known that everything was going to be awful, if you had known that you were going to end up living on the street and homeless under a bridge, if you had known that you wouldn't have any money to your name and nobody loved you and everybody hated you and you run off and start looking for some worms to eat. If you had known that things were going to be so awful, you'd look back and you think, oh, I wish I had not invested so heavily in this area. I wish I had invested in this area. But there's absolutely nothing that we can do about how we've invested what we've had, but we can do something about how we invest what we have. And so today we're going to be looking at a passage of Scripture in Matthew chapter 6, verses 19, 20, and 21. You can turn there and just hold your place there. We're going to walk through it one verse at a time. And Jesus gives us some instructions here about proper investing. Okay? He talks to us here about proper investing. And the first thing that he tells us in Matthew chapter 6, verse 19, do not lay up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. And I don't know why that's in the King James Version. I thought I put it in the New King James Version, but it's okay. For those of you who love the KJV, there you go. I threw you a bone today. I didn't mean to throw you a bone, but there you go. Jesus says, don't lay up for yourselves treasures upon the earth. Now listen, wealth is not a problem. Having wealth is not a problem. You know, one of the things that we see in our church culture today is there's so much of this prosperity gospel being preached. And some of it's being preached intentionally. Some of it's being preached in error, unintentionally. I see people and hear people preaching it to themselves in these declarations that they make about life and this or that. And it's about this prosperity thing, you know. The problem that I see with the prosperity gospel as it relates to wealth is that God doesn't have a problem with us being wealthy. God does not have a problem with us prospering. The problem is that with the prosperity gospel people, they want to prosper without obedience. They want to declare, I'm wealthy. They want to declare, I'm going to be prosperous. They want to declare, I'm a child of the King, and God has highly favored me and bestowed abundant blessings upon me. Listen, the prosperity of God comes from the obedience to God. You don't get to run around declaring prosperity for yourselves while you're living in sin. While you're rooting around in the mud of the world like a hog, you don't get to declare prosperity for yourself. God doesn't have a problem with us having wealth. In fact, His promise in the Scriptures to His people, and it's a promise that has principle for us today in the New Testament, that is that if you obey the commands of God, you will prosper. The Bible teaches us that God will bless you if you walk in obedience to His commands. Now, it doesn't mean you're not going to have hardship. It doesn't mean that you won't suffer, because you will suffer, because Jesus was clear, yet all who will live godly will suffer persecution. But yet you will be blessed and you will prosper. God told the nation of Israel that if you'll obey my commands, I'll bless your breadbasket. Your wives will be fruitful and produce in their wombs, and I'll cause your enemies to flee from before you. Your crops are going to grow. There won't be any drought. There won't be any sickness. There won't be any diseases. If you just simply obey my commands. God has no problem whatsoever with people being wealthy. In fact, when you think about wealth, there was a promise about wealth for the wise. Those who were wise experienced wealth. The Bible says that the prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself. The book of Proverbs says, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard." You know, consider the ant who sees that the winter is coming and lays up and stores up in preparation for bad times coming. It would be foolish for you to not invest finances for the winter years that are coming at the end of your life. It would be foolish for you to not lay up for yourselves some kind of buffer against sickness or being out of work, or if some kind of accident happened, if you were in a car accident and couldn't work for a while. It would be foolish for you to not prepare and anticipate that something bad is going to happen, because something bad will happen, and it makes no sense for you to not have something stored aside for you to be able to lean on when bad times come. Not if they come, but when they come, because they will come. And there's a certain responsibility that comes with wealth as well. If you look at the Bible says that the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous, and it says that the righteous man provides an inheritance for his children's children. You listening up, Dawn, Carol? God doesn't have a problem with wealth. It is our responsibility, if we're living in righteousness and obedience to the Word of God and to His commands, that not only would we provide an inheritance for our children, but that we would provide an inheritance for our grandchildren. Think about that this morning. So God has no problem with us putting away wealth and accumulating wealth when it's done with responsibility and done properly. But one of the things that we understand about wealth on this earth, our finances and the treasures that we gather for ourselves, cars and houses and lands and so on, is that wealth is impossible to preserve and to protect. Earthly wealth is impossible to preserve and to protect. Now, you can go out and buy an insurance policy for just about anything today. You can buy an expensive automobile that costs thousands and $10,000s of dollars. And you can park it in your garage and put it up on blocks so the tires don't go flat. And you can take it out and drive it every once in a while and make sure the motor still runs. You know, I know people that own cars that are worth $10,000s of dollars, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $100,000 or more, and they don't drive those cars except to get them out every once in a while to make sure all the seals and stuff stay lubricated in them. And they'll have multiple cars. Now, how many cars do you really need, really? I mean, how many cars do you really need? You know, and listen, I don't care how many cars you have. And if you've got multiple houses, I don't care. I don't care. What do I care if you've got multiple houses? I don't care if you've got multiple houses. 2 houses. I know people that have 3 houses or more. What is it to me? But whatever you have on this earth is going to pass away. You can buy all the insurance policies in the world. You can buy the best insurance policies to protect your cars and to protect your jewelry and to protect your life and to protect your house and your boat and to protect your land. And you can buy an insurance policy to protect. But at the end of the day, those things are going to perish away. Your house isn't going to last forever. I mean, travel to any ancient city or town in the world, anywhere, even here in America, you'll see that the likelihood of your house standing even as short as just a couple hundred years is not really likely. Go back and visit the old town where you grew up. How many of the houses still standing? Right? All the insurance policies in the world won't keep your house standing forever. Won't keep your car running. You can get out and wash and wax that car all the time. Oil it, lube it, grease it, whatever. Eventually, it's not going to run. You can put a new motor in, but eventually you won't be able to find the motor. Eventually, that car will be worthless. Though you may have spent multiple tens of thousands of dollars buying that car and storing it up in your garage and putting it up on blocks and taking care of it and lavishing all your care and attention on it. Listen, there will come a time where that car will be worth hardly anything. You may be fortunate to drop it out to the junk yard and sell it for scrap metal at some point, provided there's even any metal in it. You stop and think about all the things that you have. Eventually, those things are going to be gone. They will not survive the test of time. They won't. They will not survive. And there is no way to protect or to preserve the things that we treasure here on this earth. And so, Jesus' prohibition then is about don't hoard up treasures, things that won't stand the test of time. Why? Because it's not wise. It's not a wise investment. If you hoard up these things on this earth, one day you will look back at the things that you've hoarded up and you've treasured. And you'll say, why didn't I invest differently? You'll look back at those things and think, why did I invest in that? I should have never invested in those things. And every one of us today can look back over the course and time of our life in areas where we think, man, I wish I hadn't invested in that. I wish I had never smoked that first cigarette. I wish I had never drunk that first beer. I wish I had never had that first listless night in a hotel room with a woman that I shouldn't have been with. That's not a confession by me, by the way, it's just an illustration. And you'll look back one day and you'll think, I wish I had never done those things, but it'll be too late. You'll never recapture. And you'll look back and you think, oh, I wish I had invested better, but it'll be too late. You won't have in your hand the resources anymore because those are passing through day by day. Those resources are passing through day by day. You can't even reach back into yesterday to reclaim the investments you wish you had made yesterday, much less last year or 10 years ago or a lifetime ago. That's why Jesus teaches us in this next verse to not hoard treasures here on the earth, but for us to hoard treasures up in heaven. He says, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. Can I tell you that whatever investments that you make in heavenly things are good investments? When you invest in heavenly things, you will never, never, never look back and ever think, I wish I hadn't invested there. Right? I mean, I only had $23,000, $24,000 in that annuity. I look back and I invested $1,200 to $1,800 in it. And I look back and I think, man, I'm so glad I invested $1,200 to $1,800 in that annuity over the course of time. My only regret is that I hadn't invested more, or that I hadn't continued to invest. And listen, that's going to be your regret. When you get to the end of this life, you will never look back and regret that you invested in heavenly things. You will never regret a moment of time spent in heavenly things. You will never regret anything that you sacrificed or you denied so that you could invest in heavenly things. Because those things are going to be forever. Forever. And God's saying, hey, if you're going to hoard something, hoard it in heaven. Gather it up there. And so the question is we have to figure out how do we get it from here to there? I mean, really, there's no magic door that you can throw it in there. You can't pull it up online and take it out of your bank account, you know? How do we get our treasure from here on earth to up there in heaven? It's a good question, isn't it? I bet you'd like for me to answer it too, wouldn't you? What if I just say no? We'll talk about it next week again right there. Would that hurt your feelings? Probably not. But we have to figure out how do we store up for ourselves treasure in heaven. Now, before we talk about how to store up treasure in heaven, I want you to think about something for just a moment. Back in 2005, Angela and I bought a house down in Flintstone, Georgia. And we still own that house. And we might own it forever, I don't know. But right after we bought that house, the housing market blew up or collapsed. Remember that? And our expenses changed, and a lot of stuff happened back then. And all of our decisions were wise decisions. And by the time by 2008, 2009, we had reached a point where we were over $30,000 in debt. And I remember thinking, how in the world did we end up over $30,000 in debt? And we were at a place at that point where if any major catastrophe happened in our life, we had $0 in savings. Okay? We had $0 in savings. We were so tight on money. Of course, Angela says I'm tight anyway. But we were so tight on money that we couldn't put, we were not putting anything in the savings. And if a catastrophe happened, we were teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. We reached a point where we were teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. I remember Angela and I sat down and had a really serious talk. And we wrote out a commitment to the Lord. And we basically said, God, if you'll do this, then we'll do this. And we made a commitment to the Lord about what we would do about getting out of debt, and what percentage of money that we would take and look towards debt retirement. Well, I got to tell you, we got really, really serious about getting out of debt. Nancy still gives me a hard time even to this day. She said I drove her along kicking and screaming. But she signed the paper too, just like I did. And you know what? We became so focused on getting out of debt, there was a lot of stuff that we didn't do. And we stood around and we watched our friends buy new cars and buy new houses and taking nice vacations and wearing nice clothes and doing this and doing that. The whole time we didn't take, vacations at our own expense. God provided vacations for us. We had some dear friends that went to the beach and rented a house down there, and just so happened it came with another floor, and they weren't used to it, and they invited us to go with them. Just what it cost us to get there. So we went and spent a week at the beach. It just cost us what it took to get there back, but we couldn't afford to go on vacation. And I had this truck out here, this 95 Tahoe that my wife hates it. She doesn't hate it, but she says it's ugly. And it is ugly. It is ugly. It needs a paint job. It looks a little mangled and everything. But every time I look at that truck, I think of all the sacrifices and all the things that we did without, so that we could get completely out of debt. It took us 5.5 years, but at the end of 5.5 years, we had paid off over $30,000 in debt. And listen, we wore our shoes longer. We didn't have closets full of clothes. We were very careful when we went to the grocery store about what we bought. We didn't buy new cars, as you can tell. And there was a lot that we didn't do, and there was a lot that we didn't enjoy. But God blessed us along the way. It was a struggle. But we were very, very serious about getting out of debt, over $30,000 out of debt. And just as soon as we got out of debt, Joshua got married. We paid off Joshua's wedding. I think we went into debt about 2 months for Joshua's wedding. And then Lauren got married the next year. And I think we went into debt maybe about 3 months. We put a little bit of her on. It was a very calculated risk, but we put a little bit of her wedding on a credit card and we paid it off after 3 months. And then the next year we went, nobody was getting married. And then Michael just got married this last summer. We didn't go 1 month into debt for Michael's marriage. And I got to tell you, it is an absolutely wonderful and marvelous feeling to be debt-free. Now, what I want you to hear and understand from that story is that to get to the place where we are right now meant we did without a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff we didn't buy, a lot of places we didn't go, a lot of things we didn't do, a lot of luxuries we didn't enjoy. While we sat around being frugal and creative about how we entertained ourselves, we were watching our friends throw boatloads of cash or money and vacations and cars and houses and good times. I remember Dave Ramsey said, if you'll live today like no one else, one day you'll live like no one else. And I know that the decision that we made to invest in getting completely out of debt was one that cost us a lot, but it's one that's paying off in dividends now. And I know that as long as we continue to walk down that road of investing financially with wisdom, that as we get into our later years, we will be living like no one else. While everyone else around us is going to be struggling to live on fixed incomes, we're going to be prosperous and blessed because we made a decision years ago to live like no one else is living. And while our friends were living like everyone else is living, they're going to be living later on in life like everyone else is living. Right? Does that make sense? That may sound a little confusing, but in my head it came out right. Now what am I saying? That when we get to the end of this life, we need to make sure that we're living like no one else is living. When we get to the end of this life, we need to look back and believe that we've leveraged everything to invest in heavenly things, where rust and moth don't corrupt and thieves cannot break and steal. Rather than investing in all the things that people are investing in that don't have any eternal value and won't be around, we need to make sure that we've sacrificed and suffered and done without today. I know you think, well, I don't want to do that. But listen, Jesus can be trusted. He can be trusted. He says, don't lay up treasures here. Lay up treasures there. Right? Don't hoard here. Hoard there. So how do we move our treasure from here to there? In the Bible, in Matthew chapter 19, verse 21, Jesus says, if you want to be perfect, I don't have that cross. You take that off, please. If you want to be perfect, go sell what you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Come follow me. Listen, this is not the only place that Jesus says this. But Jesus says to him, go and sell what you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Now there's a principle that Jesus has established here. And it's a life principle. And that is that we are to do good to those to whom we may do good. Particularly to those who are less fortunate than us. Right? The principle in the Bible is that when we have an abundance, God has provided us an abundance so that we can be a supply to those who have a lack. That's in the Bible, by the way. If you don't know that, that is in the Bible. You can look it up. It's in 2 Corinthians, I believe. But the principle in the Bible is that the reason why you have an abundance is so that you can be a supply to those who have a lack. That's why you have more. Larry Burkett used to talk about that there are cycles of wealth. That we have periods of time where we have more wealth, and then we go through periods of time where we have less wealth. And we kind of cycle through the more wealth and less wealth. God put more in your hands, not so that you can get rid of a perfectly fine automobile and buy one that you don't need, but just because you want it. God put more in your hands because there's somebody that doesn't even own a car, that for a fraction of what you just spent on a new car, you could give them a very drivable car. Ask me how I know. I could look back over the last 30 years And I can't even count on my hand how many cars we've been given when we didn't have a car. Now, do you remember, Andrew, how many cars we've been given? I can think of 4 or 5 right off the top of my head, but I'm sure we could get more. We didn't even have a car. I remember one time we totaled our car, didn't have a car, and one of the pastors of a local church took me aside and he said, "Brother, I've got this car over there. I just had it worked on, fixed up and everything. I bought it for my daughter. She doesn't like it. She doesn't want it. Would you like to have it?" It was about a 10 or 15-year-old Savannah. And I said, "Well, we were praying that God would give us a minivan." And he said, "Well, brother, do you want it or not?" I said, "Yeah, we'll take it, And he gave us that. Listen, God has given you an abundance. Not so that you can have bigger, newer, or better. And there's no problem with you having bigger, better, or newer. But not when your brother or your sister has nothing and it's a necessity for them to have. How can you, in clear conscience, go hoard up earthly treasures when your brother or your sister is suffering lack? When your brother or your sister is homeless? When your brother or your sister can't put good clothes on their kids? When your brother and your sister are struggling to search for the pantry to find something edible to put out on the table tonight? Right? And that's the concept of what Jesus is talking about. Instead of hoarding up your treasures for yourself here on the earth and having it be covetous or stinginess or greed. And do you know what God's remedy is for greediness and stinginess and covetousness? Do you know what His remedy is? Generosity. That's God's remedy for greed, generosity. That's how He cures greed in your heart, is by you being generous. So, Jesus wants you to hoard up treasure in heaven. And we hoard up that treasure in heaven by doing good to those to whom we may do good. To those less fortunate than us. And God has no problem with you having stuff. We already talked about that. But He has a problem with people that He loves are doing without. While you've got stuff brought out of the shed, and out of the garage, and up in the attic, and in the bonus rooms, and the extra rooms, and down in the storage shed that you're renting for so many dollars a month. God has a problem with all this stuff that you have sitting around growing old and rotting and that will not stand the test of time, while the people that He loves are doing without things that they need. And you have within your hands the power to bless. You're not laying that treasure in heaven while you hold all that stuff in your hands. When your brother and your sister are doing without, struggling to even put food on the table and clothes on their kids and gas in their car. They can't even hardly go get a job because they can't even put gas in their car. And you won't even give them a ride. You're too busy to even give them a ride on a consistent, dependable basis so they can tell somebody, "I'll be there if you'll hire me." Because the stuff that we have is not ours, it's His. The stuff that we have is for His glory, and not even we ourselves are for us, but for Him, for His glory. And so that's how we begin to transfer our treasure from the treasure rooms of our life that hold only temporary things, and we begin to move them. We do an exchange. We do an exchange and we transfer them to heaven by doing good to those to whom we may do good. And you say, "Well, I don't really have any money." Heck, have you stopped to think of the areas where you invest your money now? gym memberships and new cars and all these things. I mean, so much time that we invest in just looking good. And listen, you can invest all the money you want to into looking good. This body is going to rot in the ground. It is. This body is going to rot in the ground. Should you take care of it? Yes, you should. But are you investing in things that don't have any eternal value? While people that you know in your life are suffering, struggling just to make it from day to day. And then Jesus, the first thing Jesus gives us in verse 19 is a prohibition. The second thing he gives us in verse 20 is what we call an admonition. The first thing he says, don't do this, that's a prohibition. The second thing he says, do this, that's an admonition. And then the last verse, verse 21, he gives us the rationale. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. You know, and I know this sounds kind of elementary, but Jesus has given us a really profound word here. Wherever your heart is, that's where your treasure is. And wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Those two things are interconnected. You want to know where your treasure is? Find out where your heart is. I know some people, their heart is in collecting little knickknacks. You go in their house and there's not a place to sit down, not a place to put a glass of tea on the thing because they've got so many little angel figurines all over the place or so many little, I'm probably hurting somebody's feelings right now, but you know, that's your treasure. That's where your heart is. You can't go on vacation without dragging everybody along to the little store somewhere so you can buy another one of those things that you don't need. It's easy for me to say because I don't do that. It's easier for me to talk about what you do. But where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. And the question you have to ask yourself is my heart where it ought to be? And maybe you know the answer to that question. Maybe you could say right now today, my heart is not where it ought to be. And is your treasure moving to where it needs to be? And maybe you can answer that question. Maybe you say, yeah, I know my treasure is moving where it needs to be. And maybe I do need to stop and evaluate the process there in the path and where I'm investing my time and money and so on. And maybe I need to stop investing in some of these other areas and invest in these other areas. And you say, I'm not really sure. Listen, I want to give you two things you need to consider as we kind of wrap things up this morning and close. I want to give you two things for you to kind of consider as you think about your heart and your treasure. And before I give you those two things, I want to say this one thing in case I forget because it's really important. If you realize that your heart isn't where it should be, and you realize where your heart ought to be, and you want your heart to move where it ought not to be and where it ought to be, move your treasure. Seriously. If you realize that your heart is here and it shouldn't be, and that your heart ought to be over here, and you're struggling with feeling like you want to do it, and you don't even want to do it, just move your treasure here to here. Because where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. And if you realize that your heart ought to be somewhere where it's not, then start putting your treasure in that place, and you will find that your heart will move to where you're putting your treasure. Because where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. Right? So, I know where my heart is going to give these two things for. I can tell you where your heart is, or at least where you're trying to put it. All I have to do is just look at your bank statements and your bank account. Because where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I can look and see where you're spending your money, what you're spending it on. And I can tell you what has your heart. Maybe you're spending it on all your grandchildren. Just recently became a grandpa, and I kind of understand the temptation. And I'm exercising a great amount of self-control. I'm proud of that. so far. Probably won't last long. And you know, it's good to invest in grandchildren. It's good to invest in children. It's good to invest in people. It's good to invest in your community. Is that where your treasure is? Is that where you're spending your treasure? Or is it growing weeds and flying away? Can you not account for your treasure? You're wasting it on pornography on the internet, you're wasting it on trips to the bar, to the club, or you're wasting it on the food that isn't necessary. We have such a hedonistic culture today. I don't know if you realize how hedonistic our culture is. When people go to eat nowadays, not because they're hungry. They go to eat today not just because they're hungry, but for the experience of it. For the experience of the food. And for the artistic arrangement of the food. And for the environment of where the food is prepared and served. Oftentimes, the environment, the atmosphere of where the food is enjoyed, and the way the food is presented on the plate is as important or more important than whether the food actually tastes good. And so, you can just pull up your last 3 months' bank statements, and you can look and say, oh, well, I went to here, and I went to there, and I bought this, and pull out all your receipts from Walmart, from the mall, and Starbucks, and all the other places. You can look through and see and track where you've spent all your money, and you can see where your heart is. Is your heart in hedonism? Is it in drunkenness? Is it in drug-induced comas? Is it in pervertedness and immorality? Is it in just hoarding up and lavishing upon yourself more and more stuff that you don't need? Or are you investing in people? And listen, before you feel too good about yourself, and really, I never stand up here and want you to feel bad because of any fleshly exercise or attempt or desire on my part. I want you to feel bad. I know that sounds weird, but I want you to feel bad. The same way that I feel bad. But God speaks the truth to me, and I realize at that moment that I'm doing something wrong. I feel bad about that, don't you? And I want you to feel good. I want you to feel good because you know that God is for you, that He's with you, that He's leading you, that when He shows us what we do wrong, He's not doing it to rub our noses in it or to scorn us. But we can't discover what's right without discovering what's wrong. Those things are interconnected with each other. And one of the things you've got to be careful with is that as you look through your bank statements and as you look at your appointment calendar and see where you can invest in your time. You may look at those things and you may think, hey, I'm making good investments here. But the one thing you're not going to see when you look at your bank statements and your appointment calendar is you won't see there what you'll see when you look at here. Is are you doing those things for the right motivations? I know men who have millions and millions and millions of dollars who will give to this foundation or will build this building on the university. You think, wow, what a generous person. No, they didn't do it because they were generous. They did it because they wanted to feel good about themselves. And so I don't mind. I don't mind if they give me $1 million to build this building, so they can feel good about themselves. So they can put their name on the building and for years to come, people walk around wondering, where did that happen? Isn't that the way it is? No, you can look at your bank statements and your appointment calendar and you can see where you've been investing your resources and your treasure. But those things won't tell you if you've been doing it for the right motivation. If you're not doing it for the right motivation, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. Right? God wants to send in abundance same overwhelming love, the abundant overwhelming love that He has for you, He's poured out on your behalf. The Bible teaches us that it's poured out in our lives and our hearts and so on. God doesn't want you to hoard that either. God wants your life to be an expression of the overwhelming abundance of His love that's been poured out in your heart, shed abroad in your heart, to move from you out of you. So I just want to ask you this morning, where's your treasure? Where's your heart? They're in the same place. That's the principle. Wherever your treasure is, there your heart will be also. If you're looking for your heart, you'll find your treasure. That's where it will be. Stand with this. Today you can look back in the rearview mirror into the past and you can think, man, I wish I had invested in that stock. I wish I had invested in that annuity. I wish I had invested in that CD. I wish I had invested in that company or whatever. But you can't take all that. And I think all of us would look back and say, I wish I had invested more. That was such a good investment. I wish I had invested more. You can't. You can't. Those resources have passed by through your hands. They're gone. But you can invest today and tomorrow. One of the difficult things as you think about investing is that we never know. We never knew that when we invested $100 a month for such a period of time, that it was going to become something that it was. And I think it's the struggle for us as we think about investing in heavenly things, when we think about hoarding our treasure in heaven rather than earth. We don't really fully grasp or understand what that's going to look like or become for us, right? I had no idea how much $1,200 was turning into $23,000. If I thought about it, I probably would have sacrificed a lot more so I could keep putting that $100 a month in. You have no idea that good deed, that dollar you gave, that meal you served, the car that you gave, the house that you opened up and invited someone to come. You will never know what that's going to become or what it's going to be like. But here's what we do know. We can trust